Well, hello everybody, and today I've got Tim Dwyer and Michael Schultze in the Zoom room with me. G'day fellas, how are you, Tim?
Very good, thanks, Mike. Very good, glad to be here.
Well, nice to meet you, Tim.
You too, Michael.
Yes, it's about time you two met because you're both amazing warriors and you've been doing some fantastic work. We're here mainly to discuss the work that Tim's been doing, but I think as we go, we'll find that a lot of the work that Michael's been doing will complement that, and of course what we've been doing in commonlaw.earth as well. So Tim, why don't you start out and introduce what you've been up to?
Thanks, Mike. Well, like always, I've been misbehaving myself dreadfully. That's just how I am. It's just been that way since I was a kid, I think. But anyway, what's been going on is in the October the 30th last year, we put together a conference in South Australia at Gawler to teach people their fundamentals on the Constitution and on fee simple land for their property titles and what rights they actually have in fee simple, and also in regards to the Australian Taxation Office, where they stand lawfully or unlawfully, depending on how you want to put it.
Can we just touch very briefly on why you're talking about fee simple?
Well, it's interesting that people think that their land is separate to the Constitution, their land ownership is separate. It's actually not, because the Commonwealth grants the the land is within the states. In Section 85, I think it is, of the Constitution, the Commonwealth hold the land on behalf of the Crown to sell to people, and with that comes fee simple. Now, fee simple, for just a brief explanation, means that all the rights that the Crown had on the land goes to the person who purchases it, regardless of whether they have a mortgage on it or not. And what happens is that in 1923, Justice Isaacs ruled that all land held in fee simple must be free from state tax, fee, fine, or levy, and the Crown did not reserve any mineral rights or water rights, so you own your land to the centre of the earth.
Okay, now I've just looked up Section 85 and it says, when any departments of the public service of the state is transferred to the Commonwealth, 1, all property of the state of any kind used exclusively in connection with the department shall be vested in the Commonwealth. But in the case of the departments controlling customs and excise and bounties, for such time only as the Governor-General in Council may declare to be necessary. 2, the Commonwealth may acquire any property of the state of any kind used, but not exclusively used in connection with the department. The value thereof shall, if no agreement can be made, be ascertained in, as nearly as may be, the manner in which the value of the land or of an interest in land taken by the state for public purposes is ascertained under the law of the state, in force at the establishment of the Commonwealth. So it doesn't exactly say that we own the land.
Well, hang on, can I share the screen?
Yeah.
And I'll go and grab Isaac's finding. In 1923, in the language of the English law, Section 85, it is obviously right, therefore, to say that under Section 85, the Commonwealth hold the land for an estate of fee simple in possession, that having no reference to any tenure under the state, the title transferred by Section 85 is taken from the state, as I have already said, adversely to state law and by a law superior, and that superior law is vested in the Commonwealth, and as that superior law is the sole source of title, it follows that nothing henceforth can depend on state registration laws or state laws of any kind.
Ah, there you go. There it is.
There it sits in a High Court ruling, and Kirby in '98 upheld that High Court ruling of Isaacs.
What this really means is that the states right now are abrogating our land titles. They're taking them away, the parchments, and they're digitizing the titles and saying, well, now the land belongs to us.
Well, it's like everything else, Mike. The politicians have been telling lies for decades.
Yeah.
And this is another lie and another deception and a fraud on the people. And sooner or later, I don't know when, but sooner or later, when the people start to understand that the state has stolen their land, their farm, their house that they paid $400, $500, $3 million, $4 million for, and they don't own it anymore, maybe then there will be some barking in the street. I don't know. But my job is to awaken people to the process of what's going on. I can't instruct them what to do once they get the knowledge. The knowledge is theirs and they can act on it any way they see fit.
Right. Michael, what are your thoughts on this? Have you been active in helping people understand this as well?
Yeah, with the fee simple side of it, I haven't gone into great depth like Tim's done, but I have actually read that passage before, that actual document. And I think from memory, I did have a copy of it, but I had a computer crash, so I lost a lot of stuff. But yeah, Tim's right. The land that we own by bequest from Queen Victoria, we are the landlord of our land. There's no superior higher than the landowner on his land. And not even the king or queen can come put a foot on your property without your consent. And that goes for cops, idiots with warrants, anyone who thinks they are more superior than yourself. If you have fee simple and you're the landlord, that little bit of dirt that you own, that is superior. No one can dictate or anything to you. They can certainly bluff.
It's your castle.
Your castle, and that's it. And no one has high authority. And also, as Tim said, the parts of the Constitution also says that it's void of all government fees, stamp duties, taxes, or any kind of revenue raised BS.
And so these states have been doing this for decades, taking our money without any legal recourse to it. But this all comes down to understanding our Constitution, doesn't it, Tim? How the Constitution began, whereas the people. Now that establishes us, we the people of the Commonwealth of Australia, not the Corporation of Australia. It establishes us as the supreme authority over the Parliament and their minions, and therefore we are the masters. And the servant, the public servant, does not tell the master what to do. Correct?
Absolutely correct, Mike. I've got some favourite parts of my Constitution that I love sharing with people. And what you just said then is absolutely right. But I'll come back a little earlier. In the preamble of the Quick and Garran on page 286, they're talking about where the actual power and authority would lie. The discussion goes on, and if the question was asked of some politician who had not considered the subject with sufficient accuracy, where the supreme power resided in our government, he would answer it was vested in the state constitutions. Now listen to this, people. This is important. This is very important. This opinion approaches near the truth, but does not reach it. For the truth is, the supreme, absolute, and uncontrollable authority remains with the people. Now, I ask people to look up those words and find the definitions of what this means, that the supreme, look up the definition of supreme, look up the definition of absolute, and look up at the definition of uncontrollable. Then you will understand why they want to get rid of this and give us some sort of Chinese republic, because this is where the absolute authority and power resides. It tells us at law, not spiritually, but at law, we have the power and the authority over the government, and never in the history does the servant tell the master what to do. Never in history.
That book you held up is the annotated constitution written by Quick and Garron, right?
That's correct. Yep. And
Right.
this is a reprint of an original 1901 that we get reprinted.
Now, Quick and Garron were two of the men who helped write the Constitution. And I've actually seen Mr. Quick's statue in Macquarie, Lake
Yeah.
Macquarie.
Yep,
Amazing, isn't it?
it is. And Isaacs was also another former of the Constitution, Justice Isaacs from the High Court. But so what I've been doing, Mike, is everybody out there in the freedom world, if you want to call it that, is saying, oh, everybody's got to join together. No, we don't have to join together. We need to be 1,000 different spears coming from 1,000 different directions, so as we can hit them from the soles of their feet to the roof of their mouth, and they don't know where the next one's coming from. So I've been teaching people about the Constitution. We ran a conference in Gawler. We had 180 people at it in October. We just did one on Saturday down south of Adelaide. It was only a small one. We only had 75 at that one, but that's all the hall could take. And what we're trying to do is educate people to take whatever action it is in whichever area they feel inclined. But if you don't know what your standing is, you'll get knocked over every time. And if you try and stand in sand, you will collapse. You have to stand on solid ground.
I agree. And this is why this year we're going to be taking our commonlaw.earth marquee, the big red one, to public areas I live in a housing estate. So we'll be looking for housing estates to set up the marquee on their public parks. And we're going to give away free sausage sizzle, and you come over and you have a look at what common law is all about. And we will be helping to educate people in their rights this way. So this is something that a lot of different groups could get involved in. Just get out there, get yourself a marquee. They're not that expensive.
No.
And set it up in communities and go and tell people about their rights. Educate them.
And this is the important thing, because we've got a huge immigration situation here in Australia at the moment. And I have it on reasonable authority that we're going to see about another additional 3 million next year, an additional 3 million. Now, that's a lot of people. That is just a truckload of people. And these people don't know that we even have a constitution. They don't know we have common law. They don't know. And one of the things I've got to look up, and maybe you guys might know this, I don't, I have it on reasonable authority that to be able to vote in Australia on anything, you only have to be recommended by a upstanding citizen to have your name put on the roll.
You have to be a citizen of Australia. Actually, you have to be a member of the Commonwealth of Australia. Most of these people coming in here are not from the Commonwealth. They're from third world countries. They don't know anything. They're uneducated, many of them.
Yes.
And this is a real big problem. And this is why the Parliament and the political parties are doing this. They're trying to overrun us.
Yeah. Now,
yeah, it's done by design.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the key here is that, if I may share the screen again, chapter 12, this is our beginning of the Constitution. Whereas the people of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland and Tasmania, now Western Australia came in a little bit later, humbly relying on the blessings of Almighty God, have agreed to unite in one indissoluble, meaning cannot be got rid of, cannot be destroyed, cannot be usurped, right? Indissoluble federal commonwealth under the crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, and under the Constitution hereby established. Now, that's what we agreed to.
The letters patent, when Queen Victoria issued the letters patent establishing the Commonwealth of Australia in 1901, she clarified that Western Australia was part of this indissoluble federal Commonwealth.
She did. Up in section 128, where they're talking about referendums and how to change and alter the Constitution and all this sort of stuff, it says there that a Constitution is a charter of trust. It's a deed of trust between, now listen to the wording they use, between the sovereign communities and its individual units and the Parliament. Now, so literally our Constitution is a stated trust document, right? It's a stated trust. Now, when we look at this bit here where we agreed to unite in one indissoluble Commonwealth, we did not agree to Gough Whitlam bringing in 47 changes. We did not agree to Gough Whitlam taking Queen Elizabeth out. We did not agree to Gough Whitlam taking the United Kingdom out and replacing it with Australia. We didn't agree to the Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors being taken out and replaced with the Queen of Australia, the watery tart from Lake Burley Griffin. We didn't agree to that. We didn't agree to taking God out of our Constitution. We didn't agree to Clause 5, where it says that the Constitution will be binding on the laws on all the people, the courts, and the judges.
Can we look at Clause 5 there?
This Act and all laws made by the Parliament of the Commonwealth. Now, understand this. What we've got now is not the Parliament of the Commonwealth. What we've got is the Parliament of the Corporation, right? Under the Constitution shall be binding on the courts, judges, and people of every state and of every part of the Commonwealth, notwithstanding anything in the laws of any state. Whitlam took that out, right? Now, we did not agree. So therefore, withdraw. Do not consent. Withdraw your consent. Now, we're starting with the local governments, the feet of clay, the lowest form.
We're doing it from ground root up, yeah.
Yes. So what we're doing is we've got some documents made up to send to the local government associations in every state, telling that we do not consent to be photographed, to be tracked, to be traced for their smart cities program. This is our start point, right? The nefarious people who would like to corral us all and you will own nothing and be happy are using the local governments because they're about as bright as a 2-cent light globe, and they'll just follow on. And so they're doing this all over the country, setting up all this technology to track and trace people. We do not consent because you are an incorporated body and we have no contract with you, and therefore we will withdraw consent. And so now our next move will be to withdraw consent from each individual council, and then we're going to start with the states, because by actual law, the state governments and the Commonwealth governments, according to the Australian Consumer Law Act, chapter 12 of it, I think, states that the crown in right of the Commonwealth and the crown in right of each state and their ancillary bodies are no different than any other corporation and are conducting business, and so therefore come under the Australian Consumer Law Act. And the Australian Consumer Law Act says you've got to have a contract if you want to carry on business. They have no contract with us.
Yeah, we have no contract.
What they did is they tricked us, Mike. At voting time, you go in and have a look at your vote and it's all in capital letters. And so you, the natural man or woman, did not cast a vote. A legal fictitious entity which does not have the capacity of thought, nor can it make a choice, nor does it have a soul, nor reason, nor conscience, did not vote. Sorry, the corporation voted, you didn't vote. And the corporation doesn't have a conscience. The corporation cannot make a choice. And so the legal fictitious entity, in all caps, that's what they tricked you into. And so they have you at contract, or actually it's a joinder.
Yeah.
And the people are, again, ignorant to this because for some God only knows reason, I don't know, did you guys ever remember hearing that saying, how can you tell a politician's lying? Their lips are moving. Whatever happened? Why don't people remember this?
It's not just politicians anymore either. It's nearly every single one of them now. Judges, cops, you name it.
They're all part of the corporation. This is the problem. And this is why I like your idea, Tim, and I'd like to offer you the opportunity to put that letter on our website. I'll just share the screen and show you where it can go. Here we go. If you go to Resources, Document Library on the commonlaw.earth website. Now, while we're here, I just want to show you something else very quickly. We've got Michael here, Michael Schultze, and he's got his own section in here, Live in Private. And Michael is also uploading a heap of documents. So we've got documents for banks, councils, court, infringements, police, UCC. So we're offering our website as a central repository and a resource for everybody. Doesn't matter if you're in a group or not, you're welcome to use our website in any way that you want that is helpful to others. Also, the letter idea is great. I don't know if it's going to have a big impact at first, but I think if we keep on chipping away at their foundation, what happens when you chip away all their foundation? It topples over, and we've got to do everything we can to chip away at their foundation. Now, also, as I've been embroiled in quite a lengthy court case or a court battle, they've been trying to drag me into court in Victoria, and I keep telling them, you have no authority, you have no right to drag me down there under the Constitution. And so this judge thought he was better than the Constitution, overrode it, and had me arrested and dragged into court, dragged into jail down there without a court trial for 6 days. That was a crime. And so now I have set up a civil case against the Chief Federal Prosecutor, and now I'm involving that judge and a few other people. I won't say who at this stage because I'm just about to file it with the Supreme Court in the civil case in Brisbane. But there's going to be a few people involved in this, and when that happens, they must take me to court with a jury, and let's see what the jury says when they start hearing about all of this rorting of the Commonwealth of Australia and stealing their land, stealing their livelihoods, stealing their futures. So it's going to be a big battle. But I really like what you guys are doing. Michael's been producing all these fantastic documents. And before we ask you to explain a bit more about your letter, Tim, Michael, have you got anything you'd like to say about that?
I just wanted to add to the fee simple, the property. The reason the government's targeted all property owners is because not all of us are wealthy enough to go buying gold and silver and storing it and hiding it somewhere. We're working our butts off all our lives. We're being distracted from what the government's doing to us because we're kept in a state of low income, poor conditions. Some of us have 2-3 jobs just to make ends meet. And this is what's dumbing the population down. They don't have time to read. They don't have time to educate themselves because all they're doing is trying to stay afloat in their lives and in their wealth. Property, people need to look at property as their gold and silver. A property is equal value to gold and silver, in my view, because Absolutely. If you own property, you own asset, you have wealth. That's your wealth. A lot of people work all their lives to pay off their land so they have no debt left. Land grows in equity every year. By the time you hit retirement age, your land could be worth millions. And this is what the government don't want. They don't want you to see retirement. They need you on their age, they're on their age pension. That way they have control over where you spend, how you spend it, how much you can own in wealth. Remember, they means test you. If you got a few grand in the bank, all of a sudden now they reduce your pension so that you have to spend your savings first so that you're totally dependent on their system. This is how the system was created. It's what it's for. It's like Tim said earlier, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. You won't have much choice. Whatever the government gives you, whatever handout you're living on, that's it, because they've stripped everything else from you.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely, Michael. Absolutely. See, one of the key things here is this. The reason we've started with the councils is rates, right? Rates. Now, rates, according to Mad Dog Michael Carmody, who used to be the head of the ATO when the GST came in, and John Howard and Peter Costello, they said they could not put GST on rates because you cannot tax a tax. Right, so rates are a tax. It's a land tax. It's a wealth tax. It's a whatever you want to call it, but it is being actually deemed a tax. Now, again, the states cannot raise a tax by law. This is why tobacco tax and alcohol tax was taken away from them, because it contravened the constitutional law, the Commonwealth law. Now, the councils take all this money in tax, and it's billions around the country. It is literally billions on top of billions on top of billions. And the states just say nothing. The Commonwealth says nothing. However, the local government supposed government is breaking federal law by chasing tax rates. The state empowers them to do it. The state is breaking the law. And so what we have to understand here is, if we actually had any real law or any real courts in this country, that would have come to a screaming halt, right? They would have stopped it. Why? Because the Commonwealth, the state, and the councils are all breaking the law. And what's happening here is the High Court and Chief Justice Keifel, they are complicit within the process. And so it's a bit hard to get into the High Court. They're fairly protective of themselves. So we thought, well, let's go after the lowest common denominator, being the local councils, and let's take them from a point where we withdraw consent to be tracked and traced and photographed and facial recognition and number plate recognition and all this sort of stuff. And in our document, what we've done is we've got a little stat deck in there. We have another document that they can reply to us and say, yes, we have withdrawn all your data out of our system, as if they're going to do that. But they've got the document there that we've filled out. All they've got to do is fill out their name, sign it, and send it back to us. But we've also put in there that if they choose not to, we have the right under the Surveillance Act to sue them. Now, whether we will or we won't.
And that's where the invoice process that we've now established will come in. And that's how we can take them to civil court. We sue the person for the invoice that we levy against them, because they are breaking the law. And the law has penalties, which can be liquidated into a financial penalty. And then we levy that financial penalty at them in an invoice. And once we do that, either they answer it, or then we create an affidavit. If they don't respond within a certain time, we create an affidavit, take it to 2 JPs and file it with the court. And once we do that, it becomes a lawful financial instrument which we can sue them through the courts. Yours is the first step in the process, and then we can go there. From there, we can start to use the invoice system. Now, I've already had several people come to me and say, I want to do that. So we are offering a service to help them through the process. We're not giving them legal advice, but we are showing them what they can do.
Yes.
And then it's up to them.
And one of the key things here is, I think, is that so many people are still fearful of the court process. They are fearful of, oh, what will happen to me? Look, like you said, Mike, this is not legal advice. But I've got a letter I got here in 2016 from a big argument that went on for years with the ATO. Now, my theory was I wanted to pick a fight with the biggest bully in the yard. Everybody's terrified of the ATO, so let's walk up and punch the ATO on the nose and see what comes out of the lunchbox after that. And eventually, I got a letter saying, yes, Mr. Dwyer, you're correct. The ATO is not a legal entity. It cannot sue, nor can it be sued. But there's always a however. The commissioners can sue on behalf of the ATO. And I said, fine, send me the commissioners' bank details, their ABN number, so as I may pay any purported tax. I know you can't pay the commissioner, you must pay the ATO.
I've gone one better than you. I'm going after the Governor General. After all, he is supposed to be the supreme authority, right? Yeah, supposedly. But again, we know that every bit of them is a corp. If you watch their oath swearing, and it's all on YouTube, they might as well read it off a back of Chinese wheat bix. Not one of them is in office. They sit in a titular office. It looks like the right office, sounds like the right office, but they've got no real authority. Elbow Sleazy swears his wheat bix oath in the morning, jumps on a plane and goes to Japan representing Australia as the Prime Minister when he is impersonating a Commonwealth official. And again, the Governor General sits there like a post turtle. You know what a post turtle is, don't you? Yes. So Hurley sits there like a post turtle. He's going around circles, don't know how the hell he got there and doesn't know what to do now that he's there. And we have these people, everybody in the Parliament is actually impersonating Commonwealth officials.
That's 2 years imprisonment per offence. So every day they turn up at work, that's another 2 years.
Yep.
We are going to have a ball, Mike. And
I am already, mate.
But we got to get people over the fear. Stop
Yes.
being fearful of these critters.
Yeah. We are the masters.
We
They
are the
the
masters. It says so in the book, and it also says so in the other book, the Bible, where it says you will have dominion over all the earth. So both books tell us that we're on top of the game here.
Absolutely. All right, mate. Now tell us what we can do. How can we implement these things?
All right. Our trueaustralia.com website is up and running. The documents are all available on there. Everything I've shown you on here, I've got it all downloadable. If anybody's like, since I did that little video clip, I've sent out over 700 emails with the documents. So a lot of people are fairly interested. It's nowhere near enough, but it's a start.
All right. As I said, you send me the document and we will
Yep.
put it up on the website. We'll make it available for everybody. And yeah, would you like to add anything else before we go?
Yeah, Tim, promote your website on Live in Private so the members there can actually go and have a look as well and
All right.
access those files for them.
And
Thanks,
on
Michael.
copperlaw.earth.
Yes.
Get
Yeah.
the word out there.
All right. Yes. And now they're going to run a referendum on us that says we should become a republic. Oh, Lord. And
All right,
again,
well-
the problem we've got is we have so many migrants in this country that have come from republic countries. The lowest and the poorest form of governance is a republic. The highest performing countries in the world in every aspect, but there's only, I think, one, maybe two republics in there, but in the top 10, they're all constitutional monarchies. Anyway, Michael, thank you so much for the time to chat today. It's been great. It's good. I just love, as you can probably tell, I just love getting the point across about fee simple land, the Constitution, and what a bunch of thieving rats we have sitting in high office.
Thanks for joining us, Tim and Michael. And I hope Australia listens.
Thanks very much.
Bye now.
Yeah, thank you.
There's still Aussies who remember days when we were living high, sunny days and hot December, and politicians thought they'd never lie. We made everything that we needed. Jobs were there just for the taking, but the warning signs all went unheeded. We didn't see disaster in the making. We the people will stand strong and true, standing for the red, white and blue. Time to join together with our mates to take a stand and make our country great. are ready to take action. Come on, Aussies, are you true blue? Come on, Aussies, now it's up to you. Are you ready to stand up and fight? Stop bowing to your masters, begging for our rights. We the people will stand strong and true, standing for the red, white and blue. Time to join together with our mates, to take a stand and make our country great. There's still Aussies who remember days when we were living high, sunny days and hot Decembers, and politicians thought they'd never lie. We the people will stand strong and true, standing for